garage, just picture the scene as I painted for you. It was World War II when this man named Kenji woke up. Ken was not a soldier, he was just a man.
Well, hey there, Coach Finn, and this is Chalktalk 17 of our offensive series for our DHS basketball program. Just going to be, this is a little terminology of many of you have heard about this, but I just want to get this out there to those who haven't got the information, or just a refresher of what we really are trying to do. This is called good miss, bad miss, and finishing. Good miss and bad miss are shots taken on or outside the arc. Okay? Finishing has to do with penetrating and finishing on one side of the hoop or on the other side of the hoop, receiving a post entry and making a post move inside, penetrating and doing a mid-range shot. All this is stuff inside the arc. Let's talk about the good miss, bad miss concept first. We have found that there are certain things you want to focus on with a good miss and a bad miss. And I'm going to put out a little picture here of a hoop from the side and then straight on. Okay? Larry Bird, who was a NBA All-Star, used to say that he knows that his shooting mechanics are right on, and he can get back on defense even if he misses a shot, if he misses well, if he has a good miss. And a good miss essentially is a ball that's coming in and it hits the front rim and goes up, or it hits the back rim straight in the middle, or a ball that comes in toilet bowls or goes in and out. Certainly we'll just count a good miss as also being something that you make. The more you focus on good misses and what the ball is telling you, the more you'll actually start to be able to do two things. It's going to affirm good mechanics, good alignment, or it's going to unveil, and also it takes off the pressure of feeling like you have to make shots if you just miss well. Again, for a hoop shooting from the front, if it hits the front rim and goes up, this is a different angle, straight on. Hits the back rim in the middle, toilet bowl, in and out, or goes in. Those are all good misses. Bad misses, and I'll use this hoop straight on, is a ball that hits on the left rim, the right rim, hits the front rim and comes straight back at you, or front rim down. These are all balls that are kind of short on the front rim, as opposed to a ball that goes up with a good miss. It's a little bit long on the front rim. Okay. Stephen Curry has even gone so far as to say that when he starts to focus on makes, how the ball goes in the hoop. Does it go in the front and hits the front net, or does it go in right down the center? And he makes minor adjustments based on his makes. We're going to start with good miss, bad miss, and go from there. But essentially, the good miss and the bad miss concept will teach us as coaches, and hopefully you as players who become your own coaches, you'll start to learn off of mechanics what you need to do to make your misses good more often than bad. And now, how often do you want to have good misses and bad misses? Well, a good miss, I'll put a little star next to this magic number, 60% of the time. Let's focus on that. This is that as a team in a full court up and down game, or full court up and down practice with defenses. So now we're starting to throw in the distractions of a hand in the face, fatigue, movement. If you can have a good miss, not necessarily make it, but good miss 60% of the time as an individual and as a team, then your offensive production oftentimes will be very, very, very high. Okay? And there's been studies, I've done studies on Division I teams that have gotten all the mechanic training in the world and all the conditioning, and these are numbers that in the Division I level the really successful teams tend to fall into. Now this 80+%, you should start to get to a point and strive as a goal that you're trying to get to good misses versus bad misses 80+% of the time. When you're shooting your shots stationary, eventually working up to movement off of passes and off of dribble. This is all outside the arc. 80% of the time you should have a good miss, both in all the tests we give you, all the tests you give yourself, both alone, without defense, okay? That number should go up. These are things you shoot for, but as a team, in the team concept, 60% of the time. If you start to falter and come below 60% on your averages in practice time, then it can impact what the coach is going to allow you to do in games. So then you will always have something to go back to that, hey, I'm really coming up underneath these values. The ball is teaching me, I need to work on my mechanics. I need to figure out how, and with the coach, how can I help my values go up, okay? And that'll all come. So good miss, bad miss, 60% of the time as a team, as an individual, versus defense, then alone in your individual training, 80+% without defense, hands in the face and whatnot. The next part is another concept of called finishing. And in finishing, what this means, again, just to reiterate, is that you are making the basket. Now we're not looking at good misses, bad misses. You're actually making the basket. You're putting it in the hoop off of dribble penetration, all the way to the hoop, post entry and post moves, offensive rebounds and putting it back in, or just little mid-range shots inside the arc around the key. Okay, you want to make it 60% of the time versus defense, both in practice and in games, as an individual and as team. And there's focuses on how do you finish. If you find that you are not finishing in traffic versus defense, what is it mechanically that I can get myself to make the ball, make the shots more often? The other thing you throw into with finishing is that if on your shot, your penetration, your post move, your offensive rebound, put back, if you're fouled, then you have to make 1 out of 2 free throws. We need to become a very good free throw shooting team. Initially, it's 1 out of 2. Down the road, maybe middle of the season, you change that as a team to 2 out of 2 free throws. So you get a point if you make your shots, you or hit 1 of 2 free throws off of fouls on these shots taken inside off of penetration, post moves, and offensive rebounds and putbacks. So all of this, good miss, bad miss, and finishing, these are things that can be charted by someone watching you play in practice and in games. And when the shot's taken on the arc, is it a good or bad miss? And if it's a good miss, you put it in a good miss column. If it's a bad miss, you put it in the bad miss column. Then you start to add up all the shots as a team. You can do it as individuals. What are the numbers? What are the numbers telling you? You pay attention to this stuff when you test yourself as an individual in your shooting. Then if the ball is penetrated and taken to the hoop, dished off, and finish at the rim from the post or post move or offensive rebounds? Are we making our shots? 60% of the time. Again, tabulation off of D1 numbers, or making your 1 of 2 free throws. 80% of the time, when there's no defense and you're just imagining the game and you're penetrating and you're working on your ball handling and getting into the eyes and nose of the game, you should start to, as you start to test yourself, be making it 80+% of the time. And these are values that you aspire towards. Okay? And if you're not, what is it that I need to do to get better in finishing? So you start to put together good misses and bad misses and finishing as an individual and as a team. You'll be amazed at how you get better as an individual and how the team starts to soar. And so this is just another one of these games within the game. A lot of the fans and spectators and scouts are just going to be paying attention to how many points you score, wins and losses, field goal percentages. But if you focus on this, it's amazing how the other stuff takes care of itself. Okay, that's Coach Finn and Chalktalk 17. Thank you.
And with a family who owned the store in LA, that